Welcome everyone to another episode of Reese's Roundup. I am your host, the Lightning Kid himself, and today Kawhi Leonard is now on the Toronto Raptors. It's been a pretty quiet week outside of that, so I'm going to talk about the whole free agency period, but we got to get right down into the nook and cranny of things because the Kawhi Leonard trade has finally happened. He is no longer in San Antonio. Now, I have a lot of analytic friends that I discuss sports with, and some of them, I want to say about 50% of them have said this was a good move for the Spurs, and the other 50% said it was a good move for the Raptors. And some ESPN analysts have said it was a good move for both teams. So I'm just going to break it down real quick and see which one was the actual, who actually got the better end of the deal. And I'll let you guys know my opinion on it as well. So, good for the Spurs. Why is this good for the Spurs? Well, first things first, Kawhi Leonard has been traded to the Toronto Raptors along with Danny Green for Jakob Poeltl and DeMar DeRozan. Pretty big name, DeMar DeRozan, and they got rid of, the Spurs got rid of Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. Now, the Spurs, in this deal, gained a center, and they needed one because Pau Gasol is like 900 years old, and LaMarcus Aldridge's true position is power forward, so they needed like that center to really put them over the edge. Poeltl isn't really a dominant center, but I want to say he's like a good shot blocking, slashing athletic finisher center type of player if we're gonna make a 2K comparison. They also gained a shooting guard, which they really needed. I mean, Manu Ginobili's like 9,000 years old, and Danny Green wasn't like that top tier player that they needed to get them over the hump. So they really gained a good player in DeMar DeRozan, and DeRozan can average like 25, 28 points per game. He averaged 23 points per game last season with the Raptors, but he had a shared role with Kyle Lowry. So I think since he's going to be like the star player now in San Antonio, I think he'll be able to average like damn near 30 points per game. So this was a good move for the Spurs in that department. And DeRozan can also stay healthy. He can pass and he can shoot consistently. He shot 45% from the field last season, and he played in 80 games out of the 82, and I mean he averaged like 4 assists. So all those numbers are better than Kawhi did last season. I mean, obviously Kawhi was still nursing his injury, but DeRozan is, he can be healthy, he can pass, and he can shoot. So I want to say he's like not like a dumbed down version of Kawhi, but he's kind of like the same kind of like offensive player as Kawhi Leonard is. So they didn't really lose much in that department. Now, why this is bad for the Spurs? They lost an elite defender and a top 3 superstar. Kawhi Leonard is like I want to say he's top 2 when he's healthy, and he's the best two-way player in the game, and obviously he's the best defensive player in the league. So you lost that. And Danny Green, I mean, despite him not being like all-star at like playing at an all-star level, he's consistent on his threes, and he can play above average defense. So that kind of hurts too. On top of that, why this is bad for the Spurs is that DeMar DeRozan goes missing in the playoffs. I mean, the guy can have a tremendous season in the regular season, but once playoff time comes around, the guy is like nowhere to be found. So although I do think that DeRozan, now that he's on like a new team where he's like not pressured, he's not going to be so pressured. I feel like, because now that he has Popovich, a great head coach, Popovich will really like mesh him and like form him into a better player than he was in Toronto, and I feel like he'll get that spark that he was missing in the playoffs. So I feel like, aside from that, DeRozan does go missing in the playoffs, so I think that is one of the bad moves that the Spurs got out of that. But why this is good for the Raptors they gained a better athlete in Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, like I mentioned before, best two-way athlete, best two-way player in the league. And, I mean, it shows. The guy can average 25, 26, 27 points a game. So, I think that's going to be a real big help for the Raptors in that department. And obviously, he's a much better defender than DeMar DeRozan is as well. The Raptors' defense will improve drastically. I mean, they finished with like a top 5 defense in the league last season with who they had. Now they're going to add Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, who can both play really solid defense. I think their defense will improve a lot, and that's definitely going to help because defense wins championships. So I feel like that's definitely going to factor into how the Raptors do next season. Why this is bad for the Raptors? They lost their franchise player. DeMar DeRozan was the guy. I mean, he was loyal to a T, and you know, just getting rid of him for Kawhi, I mean, that's a good move because Kawhi is better than DeRozan. But to get rid of if anything, I would write them into the finals if they still kept Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, and Kawhi Leonard. That would be a dominant big three in the East. But the fact that you got rid of DeMar DeRozan, you're losing 25 points per game right there. So I don't know. I feel like that was kind of like a dumb decision on their part. And on top of that, Kawhi Leonard might not even play for the Raptors. We've heard numerous reports saying that Kawhi wasn't going to play with San Antonio, and if he was traded, he would have no interest in playing with the team that he goes to. And it was mentioned earlier in other reports that Kawhi had no interest in playing for the Raptors. So, I mean, he did show up to their facility, obviously, because he had to. He had to report. But I feel like Kawhi's not even going to play. It's going to look bad for him, and I feel like he should. I think that he has to, but will he? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we have no idea until the season starts. Will he even, like, show up in uniform? Will he even come to the arena? So we'll see how that goes. But me personally, I think it was a good move for the Spurs because obviously they had to get rid of Kawhi Leonard and they needed somebody in return for it. Like I said, DeRozan can get you 23, 24, 25 points per game, and he's going to be their go-to player now. They were missing that go-to player last season when Kawhi Leonard was hurt. So now they'll have that guy. He'll be consistent with his shots. He's not a better defender. He's nowhere near as good as a defender as Leonard, but he still can play pretty good defense. So and the Spurs as a whole can play good defense. So once everybody's healthy, I feel like DeRozan can really like give them a push in the West, especially now because they're gonna need it. I just feel like this was a bad move for the Raptors because, like I said, Kawhi Leonard has no intention of playing from what we've heard. So I'm not sure if he's going to report, and if he's not, then they lost DeRozan. And, you know, like, they traded DeMar DeRozan for Danny Green, essentially. So, we'll see how that goes, and let me know what you guys think about that. But, in other news, in other free agency talks, we have Michael Beasley going to the Lakers. I mean, Beasley's just an average player at best, so this isn't really going to, like, put the Lakers over the edge, I don't think. So, this was just a kind of deal. We have Marcus Smart re-signing with the Boston Celtics. 4 years, $52 million deal. This was smart on Marcus Smart's behalf because, I mean, he's a scrappy player. He kind of reminds me of Tony Allen when it comes to, like, a high motor defensive ability. So, I mean, he's got a shot, not as good, but he has a good shot. He can, you know, he really motivates the team. So, I think this was good on his behalf. And you also have Carmelo Anthony being traded to the Atlanta Hawks for Dennis Schroeder. Now, Carmelo Anthony will not play for the Atlanta Hawks. It is said that he will be waived by the Hawks, so that way he can sign with a team of his preference. So, the Atlanta Hawks really just traded Dennis Schroeder for a couple of draft picks. Like, I mean, I guess they're going all out with Trae Young now, but Dennis Schroeder's still a decent player. Like, to get rid of him, like, and you don't know what Trae Young brings to the table yet, I feel like that was a really risky move on the Atlanta Hawks' behalf. So we'll see how it goes when the season starts. It's shaping up to be a pretty fun season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what every team can do, especially my Grizzlies. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the whole Kawhi Leonard decision and what else is going on in free agency. And let me know what you guys want to see for the next video. I'm out. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.